My name is Sebastien Borget. I'm the COO and co-founder of the Sandbox, as well as the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance. Before I jump straight into the Sandbox, I wanted to briefly also share with you the idea of the story of Sandbox, how we've been there. I don't know how many of you already know the Sandbox in the room. All right, almost everyone now, so great progress. And how many of you have played the Sandbox? Great. And how many of you are building in the Sandbox? All right, so here we got to progress. So we really want to grow everything related to education, to creating an ecosystem with creators and builders. You will see that in my presentation. And the possibilities for users to interact with brands and user-generated content in the metaverse as well. As I mentioned, I've been my background, basically, I graduated in 2007 from an engineering school. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years now. I co-founded 3 companies, had 2 exits. The last one, I spent 10 years in the video game industry. And in the video game industry, that's really how came up the origin story of Sandbox. We wanted always to play, to experiment with new technology. I've always been early adopter. Almost people could call me a geek, buying the first hardware on the launch date, playing video games and getting inspired by it. And we wanted to enable people to become essentially creators on mobile first. When the first smartphone launched, we wanted people to be able to create just by the touch of that finger. And I'm glad that almost 12 years later now, this little game Sandbox has evolved and present you in what it has evolved today. So, all right, so what we are doing at Sandbox is we're working to build this open metaverse. I'm sure everyone here is coming to see exactly what's the metaverse, what's happening in the metaverse. Probably it's a concept that you become more familiar with since last October, since a company named Facebook has rebranded itself. It got you curious, it got you attracted into the space. We try to define ourselves, the metaverse, as this myriad of virtual world where users can access through an avatar. So echoing what's been said before, the importance of the avatar. They can access more social, more fun, more creative experiences. And the big difference with what we've seen before is that they will own all their data. They will own their identities, their avatars, their digital asset, their wearable, their equipment, their game items, even their virtual houses, their virtual lands. And we want to give the freedom for users to be able to transfer those assets to other users, to sell it and monetize it the way they want on the platform, but also outside of the platform on other marketplaces, and to enable new business model around it thanks to true digital ownership. Well, if we can go ahead. You're lucky because you can enter the metaverse right now, not for too long. Unfortunately, the Sandbox is not fully open at all time. We open during seasons. There is currently a season that is still live and active, which is the Alpha Season 3. And it's running until November 2nd. So there is still about a week for completing and exploring over 98 experiences, including 22 experiences with major brands, music artists. So we'll have Warner Music, we'll have Steve Aoki, we'll have Sweco, we'll have Snoop Dogg, of course. We'll also have brands from entertainment with Care Bears, Smurf, The Rabbits, or The Walking Dead, as you could see. And we'll have other brands, but also content made by creators and studio, over 70. And as you explore the metaverse with your avatar, every day you discover new experiences. You complete quests, you accumulate experience points, and you climb the leaderboard. And then at the end of the season, on November 2nd, you'll be able to receive your rewards, which can be Sand token or NFTs. And we're very excited about the early results from this season 3, which has been ongoing already for over a month. I'm sure everyone in the room had heard some rumors that the metaverse was an empty, lonely place. I don't see that at all in Sandbox. I see in Sandbox like every day 40,000 people connecting and playing. I've seen over 330,000 unique players connecting at least once. We've seen brands entering Sandbox, acquiring land, announced almost on every day, if not every week. And I've seen tremendous activities level, engagement level with people chatting. More than 4 million messages have been exchanged, 400% more than any previous season. People spend an average of 20 to 30 minutes per experience, which means like they are really giving their time, they're exploring, they're completing the quest. This is a new paradigm in terms of like relationship with the audience. Remember that in Web 1 and in Web 2, people spend less than a minute on average on the website or on social media, so it's very different type of engagement. And I've seen tremendous engagement rates, as after 14 days, more than 40% of people who entered and created the avatar come back and keep engaging, which is, if you're familiar in the video game industry, which is like a very high percentage. So those are the latest numbers, and I think this is related to the way we've been building this open metaverse. At the core, we want everyone to own their data, to use it the way they want, to monetize it the way they want. But the metaverse is still very empty. It's a place that we have to build. And that's why we believe the metaverse will be essentially built by the users themselves. 99% of the content will be created by like studios, professionals, but we also want it to be created by just anyone. And that's why we should provide accessible tools that doesn't require even like any steep learning curve or no learning curve at all. Drag and drop. That's why we chose Voxel, which shows also our game maker that is no code. And to that content made by users and creators, we add culture in the metaverse. So what brands bring, they bring characters, they bring stories, they bring elements of environment that we are familiar with and that users can also own by acquiring them through NFTs and use to put together, to mix multiple of them, to remix creation, put on their own land and monetize it the way they want. And we work to create a culture that is global in a sense that we have, I think, the largest diversity of brands from all around the world in Sandbox. And I'm proud to count now more than 400 brands, and it's growing every day. The type of experience that you can do with an avatar, I think it's really different. And we're on the verge of defining a new format of entertainment where users can own their identity, can explore alone or together, can socialize and discover new activities, play, build alone or together, meet other people, and of course be rewarded for all the activity and content they contribute as they help to grow and build this world, which is very different from the traditional model we've seen before, where most of the platform, user-generated content platform and Web2 platform have been the main beneficiary of like the value that the users have contributed through their activity and time. And that's why we've chose to use from the ground up blockchain technology and NFTs to enable that empowerment of users and creators. And now that we have digital asset of value and we have a way to reward those creators and users, we can define an open economy in the metaverse that will even go into creation of millions of new jobs, into like decentralized finance, and even in the future decentralized governance, where the users who build this world will be also the one that run it as well. If we can go to the next slide. Yep, thank you. Something also different, I'm sure like we've heard about like virtual land and virtual real estate. There will be an infinite number of virtual worlds where users can move with their avatar from one to another in the metaverse. But some of those virtual worlds or metaverses will have a finite supply of land. And that's the case of Sandbox. In Sandbox, we have 464 lands in total. It's digitally scarce. And lands are like this space of digital piece of real estate, a digital space where users can publish their creations, make them accessible to other users with their avatar. And as avatars come and explore, they might purchase assets and NFTs, they might purchase tickets and other content that will contribute towards the economy. And creator who receive 95% of the revenue on the platform can reinvest it to hire builders, artists, etc., or can also cash it out the way they want. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Something unique is like, I think a virtual land is not like just a spot on a gallery or having, you know, like you have this feeling that you belong to a neighborhood. The location of your experience going to matter, and who are your neighbors is also going to matter. We are connected. With an avatar, you enter a land, and as you move to the edge of the next land, you actually move physically with that avatar, meaning like the way you discover the experience, the way that we build the content will have a major importance. And we're going to see neighborhoods. We already see those since we sold about 70% of the map. Neighborhoods of interest that brings mixed culture, music, art, lifestyle, art, fashion, and more. They are like vibrant places owned by the users, created by the brand or the community, and almost thinking of them like a small digital nation into this giant global world. Let's move to the next slide. And talking about a global world, we see sometimes Sandbox as this new digital nation without frontiers. We want the metaverse to be accessible, to be global, but for that to be meaningful, it also has to be very local. So we work very closely in different regions of the world, in Korea, in Turkey, in Dubai, in Hong Kong, in Japan, but also Europe, US, to develop neighborhoods where we bring the best of the local brand, the best of the local culture into the metaverse, so that no matter where you are in the world, there will be a brand, a content that you know, that you're familiar with, that attracts you, that makes you want to come into the metaverse, explore, experience, and then you will stay on the platform with your avatar to keep exploring other brands as well as the user-generated content. And beyond brands that exist from the real world, the physical world, we're also seeing brands that are born directly in the Web3. Those brands like Artefact, Clonex, and thank you, World of Women, Voxo Deus, etc. Most of them, they started as NFT collection, NFT project initially. They launched a collection of NFTs, could be a 2D profile picture, could be other content, and they developed communities. And those communities, they very often, most of the time, are on Discord. They chat. Sometimes owning an NFT from those collections allows you to claim like physical merchandising, but it is a limited use case. So what we provide is we bring more value to all those communities by being a space, a 3D space where they can interact with their members. We have turned through interoperability, owners of those NFTs benefit from having a 2D characters turn into a 3D character, as you can see here. And we have over 20 collections like this in Clonex, the Bored Ape, the World of Women, but also like Cool Cats and Moonbirds, etc., which now can run, jump, fight, do many actions, dance, express themselves with their avatar, and build their presence through our no-code game maker. So essentially, we see the metaverse as this place in the future, but it starts now, where anyone can build the content, anyone can create assets, own them, collect them, sell them if they want, use them to govern that world, and be rewarded as they play and interact into the world, their time and contribution being valued. To achieve the metaverse I was mentioning before, we absolutely need to make the barrier for creation as low as possible. That's why we started Sandbox by focusing on like the creator tools. I think like one of the unique aspects of us versus other platform is we are very creator-centric from the beginning. We provided VoxEdit, this 3D editor that allows you to make content and animate them. The marketplace where the users, the creator can start selling their content and monetizing them. And the game maker, which is like an incredibly accessible tool that allows to bring to life your ideas, to interact with your NFTs and do many more crazy things. The avatar is also very important. We see like this is a way to be reborn. Like you get to choose your identity. And in many virtual worlds, we always present the avatar as trying to be that realistic reproduction of yourself from the physical world. This is possible, of course, but we think metaverse could be very different, and having the option to choose your identity, making that identity very unique, very customized, and making sure that no one else can be like you because that identity will be an NFT, does matter. That is your new identity, your new reputation that you will be carrying across multiple virtual worlds thanks to interoperability. So there's only one avatar like this Snoop Dogg in Gucci, but more importantly, we don't want to create the avatar as Sandbox. We want the community to create all those collection of characters so you can choose really who and how you look like, and being part of various communities, come and enter and play. As I was mentioning before, we have more than 20 different collections, like Bored Apes, Snoop Dogg, Steve Aoki, People of Crypto, World of Women, Cool Cats, Gutter Cat Gang, Rumble Kongling, Moodbirds, Clonex, Cyber Kongs, and Meebits, and we keep adding more and more over time. What activities can be done in the metaverse? Pretty much everything. Like we really see the metaverse as a place that will add value to almost every vertical in the industry, including even like work, education, finance, banking, commerce, etc. But we have to start somewhere. Before we attract people to do like banking or commerce in the metaverse, we want to attract them to have fun, and that's why we chose mostly gaming-related activities as well as entertainment with virtual concerts, virtual shows, art galleries, museum, and more. And something we work specifically on is like, it's not just about attracting users for the first time in the metaverse, but it's also retaining them, creating a pattern of engagement so that they want to come back the next day, and the next day. And this way, progressively, we will be enabling more and more content to be discovered and more different activities. So how do we attract them next day and next day and next day? The season is one example. We provide the tools to those creators very soon. They will be able to publish on their own land. And the metaverse will not only be created by users themselves. I think like there's a whole sort of jobs that will be born in the metaverse related to the various kind of activities, creation being one, yes, architect, house designer, fashion designer, but content discovery is starting to take a more and more important role. We have community managers who are people controlling those avatars, making sure that they provide help, guidance, they create new activities for making sure that every one of your experience, every one of your visit in the metaverse is interesting. There are people curating the content for you to save time and discover only the best experience or show you things that will interest you. We are proud to work with a company called WebHelp, who provide the community manager, who we've been engaging our users in Sandbox during all season 3, and it's been a very successful a case study, which I think we have some of the people from WebHelp here in the room, so they'll be able to share with you that experience. We're also seeing more and more businesses developing as well around like becoming like brokers for virtual real estate, or even event manager selling tickets and more. We had about a month ago the first wedding in the metaverse. It was organized by one of the builder studios in Singapore, and we have now a platform at PIM to organize like festivals, music concert, and more. And ultimately, being a player will also be an activity that will be rewarded in Sandbox. Something that we're very proud of is like the growth of the Sandbox ecosystem. At the beginning of the year, we probably had about 10 studios building on the platform. Today, it's already over 230 studios from all around the world. There's 4 studios in Hong Kong, 8 in Korea, 5 in France, 10 in the US, and so on, who are building and bringing to life the experiences and working with the brands, helping them, consulting them on their strategy, and bringing immersive experiences that some of them are already live and you can try in the season 3. So beyond those studios, there's 30,000 creators, artists, and many jobs already. Some people's life have been impacted. They made their new career as metaverse creator, and they are all very excited and passionate about it. So we've tried to map that ecosystem, understanding where they are, what kind of services they provide, and as this is growing, ourselves are also providing more and more dedicated resource and support, workshops, training, and we now have like a certification program so that all those creators and builders, I don't want to call them like vendors of the metaverse, will be listed, will be constantly trained, so they make always they become like the main point of contact for most of the brands and projects who want to enter the metaverse, and they can certify like providing the best quality for all. Ultimately, I have these 5 recommendations to share for everyone who wants to enter the metaverse. The first one is to think right now in terms of value, not just as like I'm entering the metaverse to try to monetize an audience and generate revenue in a short term. That will come probably in a more mid to long term. But first, let's think of like, why do we want people to come in the metaverse? What do we want to give them? Like, why do they want to do that effort? And to do that effort, they will come because you will be rewarding them with something that matters, something that they cannot do in the real world, an experience, a closer link to their favorite music artist, a way to have more deeper connection or communication with you, reward in the form of NFTs and tokens eventually. You want to enter the place with a more open mindset, embracing the NFT culture, so not staying close on yourself, but connecting with the other communities in a pure Web3 spirit, meaning like owning NFT yourself, displaying your NFTs, interacting with other communities. Some of the best brands that entered, like Adidas or Gucci, have partnered with existing collection like Bored Ape or Artifact or 10KFT as part of their strategy of entering the metaverse. By the way, in roughly 2 hours from now, we'll be proud to inaugurate the Gucci Vault in Sandbox. I will come live, and I will invite you to come and enter it to see for yourself one of the first fashion brands launching in Sandbox. One last recommendation, definitely putting creativity first. And how to put creativity first? It's by letting your team express what they want to build with this tool, but also by encouraging user-generated content. Essentially, opening yourself to the community, letting them co-create your presence in the metaverse through the content, the official NFTs that you're bringing. That's pretty much it. We also have like a program to support more creativity and diversity, which is called the Game Maker Fund, which you can apply at www.sandbox.game/fund. So if you have like a crazy idea, something that's more different, unique, you wouldn't find, or another platform wouldn't accept, you can submit it to us and we'll try to bring it to life. Thank you.